Good evening, it's Wednesday, the 19th of March, and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Ceasefire deal. Trump and Putin agree to halt strikes on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Astronaut return. NASA astronauts land safely after 9-month mission in orbit. Prom dreams. Foster care teens enjoy a memorable prom with joy thanks to donated outfits.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Akhil Qureshi.
Good evening once again. In a significant development, President Trump and Putin have agreed to a temporary halt in strikes targeting Ukrainian energy infrastructure, aiming to alleviate civilian suffering to create a conducive environment for further peace negotiations.
A highly anticipated phone call between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin ended with a limited agreement for Russia to halt strikes against energy infrastructure in Ukraine, which Kyiv quickly said it would be willing to consider. The Kremlin said Putin ordered the Russian military to halt the strikes against energy facilities in Ukraine. But Putin stopped short of accepting a broader U.S.-backed 30-day ceasefire that Ukraine has said it is ready to accept. In a statement after Tuesday's call, the White House said, quote, "The leaders agreed that the movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire, as well as technical negotiations on implementation of a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea, full ceasefire, and permanent peace." The Kremlin said Putin had raised concerns about a truce being used by Ukraine to mobilize more soldiers and rearm itself. Putin also said that any resolution of the conflict would require an end to all military and intelligence assistance to Ukraine. Later, Trump said on Truth Social that the call was productive, with an understanding that the leaders will be, quote, "working quickly to have a complete ceasefire and ultimately an end to the war." Trump's overtures to Putin since returning to the White House have left traditional U.S. allies wary. Ukraine and its Western allies have long described Russia's invasion as an imperialist land grab, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Putin of deliberately prolonging the war. After Tuesday's call, the Kremlin said that Russia and Ukraine would conduct another prisoner exchange on Wednesday, trading 175 people from each side.
Under the Make in India policy, New Delhi is advancing a first to domestically produce the export indigenous weaponry, aiming to bolster self-reliance in defense manufacturing and emerges as global arms suppliers.
One of Asia's biggest defense shows got even bigger with over 900 exhibitors participating from 90 countries. For India, the world's second largest defense importer, it's a chance to showcase its rise as a manufacturing hub. On display is India's most advanced weapon system, the BrahMos supersonic missile, which was jointly developed with Russia and sold to the Philippines. India's Defense Research and Development Organization also prides itself in the development of the Pinaka rocket system. Over the past decade, India has shifted its defense acquisition from its longtime partner Russia to Western nations while prioritizing Make in India weaponry. India was importing over 60% of its military equipment. This push has transformed the country into a weapons exporter. The self-reliance strategy has spurred hundreds of Indian companies into defense manufacturing like Zen Technologies, which specializes in training simulators and counter-drone technology. Since 2014, Modi's pursuit of Indian defense manufacturing has sparked a boom in the industry. Arms exports have surged over 30 times, reaching $2.63 billion.
China has expressed optimism that Japan will honor its commitment to enhancing bilateral ties, emphasizing the importance of a cooperation in fostering regional stability and economic growth amidst evolving geopolitical dynamics.
At a regular press briefing, China's foreign ministry expressed hope that Japan will take tangible actions to honor its commitment to fostering strategic and mutually beneficial relations with Beijing. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning emphasized that the ties between two Asian powerhouses are at a critical juncture, with opportunities to improve cooperation and ease lingering tensions. Her remarks come ahead of a high-level trilateral meeting scheduled for Saturday, where Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi is said to meet with his Japanese and South Korean counterparts in Tokyo. The meeting is expected to cover a wide range of regional and international issues, and Beijing sees it as a vital platform to recalibrate relations in East Asia. China has repeatedly called for deeper economic and political engagement with Tokyo, but ongoing concerns over security alliances, regional influence, and trade frictions have posed challenges. Still, with diplomacy on the agenda and all three nations looking to navigate increasingly complex geopolitical landscapes, observers are watching closely to see if this weekend's talks can deliver meaningful outcomes.
Thai authorities report that scam operations within the country may be detaining up to 100,000 individuals, highlighting a significant human trafficking and fraud crisis requiring urgent international attention and intervention.
Despite a weeks-long multinational crackdown, scam centres along the Thai-Myanmar border remain operational, Thai police have said, with up to 100,000 people still working there. Here is Police General Tachai Pitanilabut, who is leading Thailand's operations against the fraud compounds.
At the moment, we have not had the whole number, but from our evaluation, there could be over 10,000 people involved. It could be up to 50 or 100,000 people that are still left, because we are still seeing them operating. Their operations are still ongoing.
Tachai said that based on early assessments of some of the 5,000 people pulled out of sprawling scam hubs in Myanmar's Mayawadi area, hundreds went there voluntarily. That's contrary to widespread reports that the scam centre victims had been lured there by criminal bosses. However, one analyst said that many people who willingly travelled to areas such as Mayawadi would later find themselves trapped in conducting scamming operations. Several former scam workers have described being trapped in the compounds where they were forced to trick strangers online into transferring large amounts of money. These centres are part of a Southeast Asian network of illegal facilities that generate billions of dollars every year, according to the United Nations. And although they have operated for years, they came under renewed scrutiny after a Chinese actor was abducted in Thailand in January. The incident caused a stir on social media, prompting China to send officials to Thailand to help break up scam hubs and rescue its citizens, many of whom have now been flown home. Thai authorities are now working to return thousands of scam centre victims to their home countries, with many still stranded on the Thai-Myanmar border due to lack of funds.
After a challenging 9-month mission, NASA astronauts have safely returned to Earth, concluding a journey that tested human endurance and expanded the horizons of space exploration.
NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams finally returned to Earth in a SpaceX capsule on Tuesday. The crew enjoyed a soft splashdown off Florida's coast and were welcomed back by a pod of curious dolphins. Their return caps a protracted space mission that was fraught with uncertainty, technical problems and political spectacle. They were stuck in space for 9 months after their faulty Boeing Starliner craft upended what was meant to be a week-long stay on the International Space Station. Issues with the Starliner's propulsion system led to cascading delays to their return home. Then the mission got caught up in politics after it captured the attention of US President Donald Trump. He called for a quicker return of Wilmore and Williams when he took office. He also alleged, without evidence, that former President Joe Biden abandoned the pair on the ISS for political reasons. NASA acted on Trump's demands by moving Crew 9's replacement mission up sooner. The agency had swapped a delayed SpaceX capsule for one that would be ready more quickly.
Let's take a short commercial break. More world news on the other side. Welcome back. The United States is set to release approximately 80,000 pages of previously classified documents related to the President John F. Kennedy's assassination, potentially shedding new light on historical inquiries and conspiracy theories surrounding the 1963 event.
Donald Trump basks in the majesty of the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Last month, the president installed himself as leader of America's National Cultural Center. And symbolically, it was here, in a place named after former Democratic President JFK, that Trump announced the release of all remaining Kennedy assassination archives.
So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible. We have a tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything.
Trump says around 80,000 pages related to JFK's murder are set to be released Tuesday, a tiny amount compared to the 5 million pages already released. But making these last top-secret files public was a campaign promise of Trump's, and he ordered their declassification just a few days after his return to the White House.
A lot of people are waiting for this for years. And everything will be revealed.
More than 60 years later, Kennedy's November 22, 1963 assassination in Dallas, Texas, continues to fuel numerous conspiracy theories. According to the government's investigation, Lee Harvey Oswald, a former Marine, acted alone in Kennedy's murder. But a 2023 Gallup poll found that 65% of Americans still believe JFK's assassination involved a conspiracy.
Israel's airstrike on Gaza have resulted in over 400 Palestinian deaths, marking one of the deadliest escalations in recent times and raising international concerns over the escalating humanitarian crisis.
Israel resumed extensive airstrikes across Gaza on Tuesday, killing over 400 Palestinians, injuring hundreds, and shattering the already fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the airstrikes are just the beginning and part of a broader strategy to dismantle Hamas and secure the release of Israeli hostages. He emphasized that future negotiations would proceed under fire, indicating a readiness to continue military operations. While both Israel and the United States blame the renewed hostilities on Hamas, the international community has widely condemned the renewed violence. The United Nations has expressed deep concern over the escalating humanitarian crisis, and several countries, including Egypt and France, have called for an immediate halt in hostilities.
Germany's parliament has approved a historic increase in defense spending, reflecting a strategic shift in response to evolving security challenges and commitments to NATO obligations.
Germany's parliament approved plans on Tuesday for a massive spending surge. It sheds decades of fiscal conservatism in hopes of reviving economic growth and scaling up military spending for a new era of European collective defence. The approval in the Bundestag hands Conservative leader Friedrich Merz a huge boost. The Chancellor-in-waiting would benefit from a windfall of hundreds of billions of euros to ramp up investment after 2 years of contraction. Germany and other European nations have been under pressure to shore up their defences in the face of hostile Russia and shifts in US policy. Merz's Conservatives and Social Democrats, who are in talks to form a centrist coalition, want to create a $546 billion fund for infrastructure. They also want to ease constitutionally enshrined borrowing rules to allow higher spending on security. The legislation still has to go to the Bundesrat upper house, which represents the governments of Germany's 16 federal states. The main hurdle to passage there appeared to fall on Monday, when the Bavarian Free Voters agreed to back the plans.
Following the discovery of a mass grave, Mexico City Mayor Sheinbaum has pledged comprehensive reforms to address systematic violence and improve public safety, signaling a commitment to justice and human rights.
After the discovery of a mass grave last week in Mexico's Jalisco state, President Claudia Sheinbaum on Monday pledged stronger efforts to search for missing people in the country.
El día de hoy Today, I'm signing a decree to strengthen the National Search Commission in order to expand its care capacity, context analysis, and the acquisition of technological equipment that accompanies the search with scientific evidence.
The president also said she will send a reform to Congress on Thursday that would make it easier to identify missing persons and make the number of missing people more transparent. The recently uncovered mass grave was found at a ranch in the town of Tiochtitlan. Civilian activists found ashes, bones, and hundreds of items of clothing that are still being checked by authorities, along with ovens possibly used to cremate bodies. Mexico has over 124,000 missing people, according to government data, largely as a result of drug cartel violence. Murdered people in Mexico are often buried in clandestine, sometimes mass, graves. The recent discovery has spurred a national outcry and put pressure on Sheinbaum. Her Monday announcements came after protests and visuals across the country on Saturday to demand more official actions. On Monday, Sheinbaum also said that justice for the victims of disappearance requires maximum attention, and that officials would provide information about the investigation into the Jalisco case on Wednesday. Authorities have not given an estimate of how many bodies were in the grave. Last week, the state prosecutor's office said it had set up an online platform detailing nearly 600 personal items found at the ranch. The platform is public, allowing people to identify them. Tests are also being carried out on hundreds of items of clothing, bullet casings, and skeleton fragments.
European Commission President von der Leyen has called for the European Union to bolster its defence capabilities by 2030, urging member states to enhance military readiness in response to emerging global threats.
The European Union has unveiled a plan to bolster its defense capabilities by 2030, aiming to enhance military autonomy and reduce reliance on external allies. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced on Tuesday in Copenhagen the EU's initiative to rearm itself by 2030, targeting a significant enhancement of the bloc's defense infrastructure. The strategy aims to establish a credible deterrent in response to evolving geopolitical threats, notably the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and uncertainties regarding U.S. military support. The Readiness 2030 strategy, which will be announced on Wednesday local time, comprises several key components, including fiscal flexibility, defense loans, and infrastructure development. The proposal also includes the creation of a European military sales mechanism to streamline collective arms procurement across the EU and support arms manufacturers.
Let's take a short commercial break. More world news on the other side. Welcome back. The International Olympic Committee has commenced its session in ancient Olympia, Greece, with presidential election on the horizon, underscoring the organization's ongoing commitment to its historic roots and future leadership.
The International Olympic Committee commenced its 144th session in ancient Olympia, Greece, on Tuesday local time. The session holds particular significance as it comes just before the election of a new IOC president set to take place on March 20th. 7 candidates are contending for the presidency, including prominent figures such as the current IOC vice president and an Olympic swimming champion who is Zimbabwe's current sports minister. Outgoing President Thomas Bach, who has led the IOC since 2013, addressed the assembly at the Olympic Academy, emphasizing the session's role in honoring the organization's heritage and future.
In a heartwarming initiative, teenagers in foster care are receiving donated prom outfits, ensuring they can participate in this milestone event with confidence and joy, reflecting community support and inclusivity. Take a look.
It's a teenager's heaven right here. Rows and rows of prom dresses, jewelry, and shoes, all in one place to go shopping. Madison Rucker is ready to get all dolled up for the big school dance. Madison is one of hundreds of teens benefiting from a special program in Los Angeles, California that offers all of the prom essentials for free. It's all thanks to the organization CASA. There are currently 20,000 kids in LA County's foster care system. Groups like CASA are working to give them some exciting teen experiences, ones that many kids may take for granted.
A vigil has been held following the discovery of an extermination camp in Mexico, with communities coming together to mourn the victims to demand justice, highlighting ongoing struggles against organized crimes and impunity.
A Peruvian fisherman spent 95 days in the Pacific Ocean before being rescued. Maximo Napa left the port of San Juan de Marcona on December 7, 2024, to do some fishing in a small boat. The engine of that boat failed, and he was carried by ocean currents into Ecuadorian waters, where he was eventually rescued by a tuna fishing boat. This is what he told reporters about his time adrift. I wasn't eating. I didn't want to die. 95 days. I had to eat cockroaches, birds. The last thing was a turtle. I didn't want to die for my mother. I have my mother alive. He survived with very little for more than 3 months in the hopes of seeing his family again. Napa was greeted with a tight hug when he was reunited with his brother, Alberto. Napa is now undergoing medical assessments following his long journey on the seas.
Well, that's a wrap right here on World News Tonight. Stay tuned as we've got Anuradha Wickramasinghe joining you next on Nightly Business Report. Well, I'm Akwel Qureshi. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget, we'll be leaving you with the likes of stunning scenes of fishes and animals interacting with cherry blossoms in Japan's aquarium. Thank you for watching. Good night.